Just get it cracking. All right, hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classes of Cinematics. I'm joined as always my co-host. We got Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo.
Yeah, we're here to talk about the films that shaped and warped our childhood memories, and today is no exception. We're going to be talking about Superfly from 1972.
Yeah.
And in this film, Priest, a suave, top-rung New York City drug dealer, decides that he wants to get out of his dangerous trade. Working with his reluctant friend Eddie, Priest devises a scheme that will allow him to make a big deal and then retire. When a desperate street dealer informs the police of Priest's activities, Priest is forced into an uncomfortable arrangement with corrupt narcotics officers. Setting his plan in motion, he aims to both leave the business and stick it to the man. It's directed by Gordon Parks, which is interesting, man. He's a world-famous, renowned photographer. But stars Ron O'Neal as our character Priest, Sig Shore, Sheila Fraser, Curtis Mayfield, Yvonne Delane, Carl Lee, Julius Harris, Charles McGregor, Polly Niles, Al Keegans, James G. Richardson, Roscoe Lee Brown, Floyd Levine, Alex Stevens, and just more, man. This thing is a really dope cast, dope film. So what do we like about this thing, man?
I mean, we can't talk about this film without talking about this film's soundtrack. Okay, the soundtrack is one of the best film soundtracks. Like my personal opinion, it might be the best. The best, There you go. And it was solely done by Curtis Mayfield, which that was dope. And just little factoid: this is one of the only few times where a soundtrack grossed more than the actual money made on the film. But personally for me, three favorite soundtracks, movie soundtracks ever: Superfly, Dead Presidents, The Lost Boys. So that says it with that.
I mean, it's great. It adds a lot to this film, man. It doubles as a score sometimes. When things are happening, there's a couple of montages in this film, and some of the songs carry them. But it's dope, and as well as having Curtis Mayfield in here. He's one of my favorite creators of that era because he also did the music as well. He produced the things, played the instruments on them, soulful voice. It's beautiful. The way it works out, especially the way this film starts off when we see the two dope fiends kind of on a mission and the what's that song?
Dude, it's Little Child Running Wild. Yeah, man, that's to your point. Hey, the movie starts, we get Little Child Running Wild, and then we get the interaction with the dope fiends, and then we see Priest, and then a couple bumps and one naked chick later. We get right into, the Freddy's Dead instrumental, which that film or that song carries throughout this whole film. Even though, it's wild because you know why Curtis Mayfield didn't win an Oscar for that song? It's because there was no lyrics ever played. It was only the instrumental in this song, which I think that was whack because that's one of the coolest riding songs. Yeah, man.
That should have got some star props. But it's a dope film, man. Like one of the things that always trips me out is the fact that a lot of when you bring up the name Superfly, people think of pimping, and I'm like, I don't know why, but maybe just the way he was dressed. But this character was never a pimp. He was straight dope dealer.
Dope dealer.
And it's crazy. They definitely deals dope and does a lot of dope.
Does a lot of dope. That's one thing that's happening throughout this whole film.
Yeah, so I definitely love Ron O'Neal's portrayal of this guy. He's straightforward about his business, above all else. But I mean, he does have a human side, but you could tell he's got to be harder and tougher because of these streets and the business he's in, man. Like when he's coming down on his people, I don't never feel bad for them. I'm like, bro, this is high stakes. But I think it's also interesting to have this story with a character whose main intent right now is to get out of the game. He's felt like he's been in too long and things could come crashing any minute. So let me go while the getting is good.
Yes, but like you said, this film is a testament to the dope game. You know what I'm saying? The highs and lows that come with it. The struggles that come with it, and the flex necessary to survive through it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and he's showing it on all aspects. You know what I mean? And I feel like if this film wouldn't have been made. You know what I'm saying? There are other films that superseded or surpassed this film in later years that would have not had the same direction. That they have now.
This is exploitation, black exploitation era, and it's one of those ones. Like, I feel like this ain't the first. There's films in this era coming out that were dealing with the same subject matter, but I think what elevates this is just the production level, the quality, the Gordon Parks direction, cinematography, the Curtis Mayfield soundtrack. And like I said, the story itself, man, because I feel like sometimes with these stories, we get the Scarface thing. It's kind of weird where we get a character who's done with it. I want to get out. Versus a lot of movies, we see people who want to take it as far as they can go, get to the top.
And like I said, without this film, you don't get films like Scarface or King of New York or New Jack City, that can do those films with that subject matter, with the confidence that they do it with. You know what I'm saying? This film kind of showed the way. I know there are a lot of, gripes or this, that, or whatever people can, say about this film. But I mean, all in all, when you really sit down and you watch it, like it's kind of like the blueprint for films.
Yeah, I think it's what it brought to the table stands out way greater than any flaws it may have,
Absolutely.
But even like it's crazy because I feel like they're setting you up with the narrative because in the beginning, we start off with these two junkies basically going down the street trying to figure out their next fix. And they're walking through the street, they're begging for money, stealing money from the shoe shine guy, and they're just up to no good. And you see them finally, they pick up a table leg, what it looks like, or a bedpost leg, and go up in this building. And it's interesting, we get introduced to Priest's character. Then we catch back up with these guys, and it's like, next dude that comes through that door, we going off them. Basically, they're going to rob and roll whoever. Yeah. And it just happens to be Priest that walks in there and he runs down on this dude and gives him the business. But I think that's the moment when Priest realized, like, I could have just died, like, it's like, I got to stop doing this, man. This ain't the way, I want to end my life, in this game.
I mean, if he wasn't Superfly, if he didn't practice Kung Fu in his free time, if he wasn't able to jump kick over a fence while chasing somebody, who knows? He might not have made it through the table leg.
Yeah. But it's great, like just, overall with the character. We meet some of his other partners and stuff like that, which I think are also really great, fully realized characters, man, because, it's a simple story. One of the interesting aspects of it, he brings the idea to his partner, and his partner's like, yeah, I'm down, but really you get the sense that partner is really not trying to get out. He's still just going to, in his mind, he's going to die in this lifestyle. Like, this is all he sees for himself, and he doesn't care. It's like, if it still gets me to the highs and lets me see this money and this lifestyle, then whatever else comes with it, I don't care. He's like Manny on Runaway Train. Wherever this goes, like, I'm going.
He even tells him, he's like, if you wouldn't have pulled me in as your right hand, he was like, man, I'd have probably OD'd somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, he tells Priest, he's like, man, dog, you get to walk around with money in your pocket, fresh clothes, and you get to snort a rock every day or whatever, whatever they got going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's telling them, like, pretty much this is the ceiling. Like to Eddie, that's the ceiling. There is no better to him.
Yeah. Eddie's addicted to that lifestyle. With Priest, it feels like it's just something that comes with the lifestyle at this point for him. But it's like there's so many quotable lines in here and moments. Like, I love when they bring the big cousin. And this because he owes Priest his money, he's late with his
Freddy
drop. Yeah, Freddy is clearly just so infatuated with his woman. You realize that's where his money's going. He's giving her everything, and
Priest gives him a knot, and then he's like, "Just go ahead and hold that, baby. Go ahead and play some songs on the jukebox."
Remember Ghostface's Cobra Clutch song, and he samples this movie, and the Priest is like. He's like, I got 50 men out on the street right now. They all get women problems. It's like, nah, bro, I need my bread, or we gonna have to put her to work if you don't want to work.
Yeah,
and I'm like, whoa, cool. But it's part of doing the business, man, and it eventually leads to Priest getting messed up dealing with this guy, man, because Freddy is crazy. Freddy gets into a fight with some dude over his woman. And ends up being brought in by the cops. They catch him with the package and everything.
Because he tried to beat the guy to death.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they caught him with all that work, and he's just sitting there, and then he folds. He starts crying. they touched my girl.
You know what's wild, man? Like there are, like I said, there's legitimate criticism about this film. It's uneven at times. The acting can be a little bit, but I think the story holds up on the screen.
Absolutely,
man. It's layered, yo. Like even with that guy, and also with Priest ultimately having to go to another guy who's retired from the game to get him to get one more connection for him, and it's wild.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like you said, the amount of layers on this, and then the dude he goes to is Scatter, who actually is the one who puts him on. He's like, dog, I laid 15 on you, and now you coming out of left field with the money you made from that, asking me to lay another 30 on you, and that just shows that when you're in the game, you never get to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like he tried to step away.
Hard to get out,
and the fact is that whenever you got somebody that's going to ask you for a favor, they're always going to want to pull that favor card.
Yeah, because I get the sense that Scatter, when he gave him them 15, that was him getting out.
That was him getting out.
He's like, here.
And then he was like, dog, you come back with the money that you made off that, asking me to then double up when I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to do this no more. Like he was like a chef at a restaurant.
Yeah, he's like, I'm good.
Trying to step away.
And not only that, his restaurant was popping. They getting Curtis Mayfield to perform while people was eating. And he said, I don't need money.
And he knew that the man was watching anyways. They were waiting for him to resurface.
Yeah. It's great how those like I said, it's not the most smoothest execution, but the layering is there, and the way it puts it together makes this film rather impressive to me, dude, to be honest.
Absolutely. It's so much more than just the soundtrack. Like, when you watch this with a broad view, oh yeah, the soundtrack is great. And I love the soundtrack.
I love the soundtrack. I think we see elements of this later on in like New Jack City. When G and Nino broke apart, it's like Eddie and Priest in a way. They just both had different visions of what was supposed to be, man. And then,
like I said, this film, it kind of, I hate to put it this way, but it kind of set the standard for, the style of dress, the style of car, this film, being Superfly ended up being a term.
Yeah, they still use fly to this day.
Used to this day. I mean, not for nothing. You can't talk about this film without talking about Priest's car, that 1972 Cadillac Eldorado that he had. And the thing is that that car was actually owned by a local pimp. His name was KC. You know what I'm saying? So that was a real car, was really decked out that way. And because of this film, other folks that were living that life in real life wanted to get that style of car, you know what I'm saying? The wide, the bulb headlights and all that stuff, the Rolls Royce grill, the whole 9 yards. Like I said, when you look at the wardrobe, there's nobody in this film that looks unkept. Everybody is fresh. Yeah. Everyone is fresh.
I do want to mention Gordon Parks for a second, because he's directed this film, but like I said, man, he was known as his thing as a photographer, man. In his bio it says photographer, musician, writer, film director. But the part that gets me in this film is the montages. There's a couple montages that don't use motion video. They're just still shots, man. Like the part where we see everyone getting high. Yeah. And I'm like, that's crazy for him to use his straight still photography game and throw that into this film and help enhance, those moments. But overall, like the framing of this, the color, the composition of the shots, everything works, man. And I feel like that's because of this guy's eye for the visual language, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, and to your point, that montage, like it really just sets the tone. Like we see at that point, that's when everyone that Priest, from Priest all the way down to everyone who's working underneath them, they're getting it. You know what I'm saying? They're playing Pusher Man behind it. Everybody's getting fried. They're making money, making wops. And, like you said, it's not showing, it's all still motion. It's just all just pictures. But that was great the way it did, because it really just intensifies the film and gives it another layer amongst the other layers.
And you're also stretching your budget, because they made this thing for $500,000, dude.
Yeah.
It looks like way more than that, man. It looks better than Creepshow 2.
Dog.
You know, that had like a million, you know, like a few million to work, 3.5 million.
Yeah, but then, you know, where is that? The film grossed over a couple mil.
Yeah, it was a hit.
It grossed over a couple mil.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So to be able to do that, you know, at the time when it came out, you know what I'm saying, and just to separate itself. I mean, it's a touchy subject. It was, you know, the subject matter is raw, it's real, it was relevant, it still is. But to just be able to do that, you know what I'm saying, with no regards and have it be a success.
Mm-hmm. I think the plot is underrated, man. You can't criticize, you know, the execution of it, but even the way it comes around full circle with Priest ultimately outsmarting his opposition, because it's kind of messed up, man. His man Eddie, him and two, they come in, they butt heads because it falls apart once Fat Freddy gets caught. And then the cops realize who Priest is, and they move in. They know he's moving all his work. So then the cop, you realize the cop is a plug too. The cop is basically using these guys to sell his dope for him. Yeah. And and they've got Eddie in their pocket. So Eddie ends up, you know, flipping on Priest and giving them to the cops. And but Priest is like he's been thinking about this. He's got this thing in his head figured out, man. There's some cool cat and mouse stuff that gets done in the final moments of this film, bait and switch. And one of the parts that I really like is that final fight into the fifth.
Oh my God! Oh man, dude! Oh, with the cops, yeah, that dude. That was
the worst choreography, but it's still
ever
badass though.
Ever, yeah.
He's sitting there, they roll up on him, and by then he switched because he's taking his money from Eddie. He wants his half of the cash so he can make his escape. And Eddie calls the cops. He's like, yeah, he's leaving the building now. They send the cops to pick him up. They pick him up. But in the meantime, Priest did the switcheroo on his briefcase. So his woman got the money. So then the cops, I love this moment because Priest knows he's got the upper hand.
Yeah.
My man pulls out his little vial, toots a couple bumps.
And then it gets wet. And then you get like the ultimate like Matrix slow motion style. I mean, the hits ain't even landed.
Terrible, dog. It's the worst choreography. Still badass.
There were more punchlines thrown than punches landed. Dog. You know what I mean?
It is a great moment because he's got the upper hand. He's talking his shit.
Yes.
He's just like, you can't touch me, bro. Like,
and then he's still like, once they open up that thing, he was like, man, doing my dirty laundry ain't gonna help you none.
Yeah.
You know, like he's still throwing zingers at him. He knew he won, and that was great. And you know, this also, actually, the woman who played his girlfriend, that's Sheila Foster. This was her film debut.
Oh, for real?
In this, and just to bring it back, the film cost $500,000. It grossed 11 mil in the first 2 months. That was that's what I was missing. But yeah, man, and then you know, this film was actually so good that it spawned 2 sequels, man.
I would stay away from any sequel.
No, we're not talking about the remake, but the second Superfly TNT came out in 1973, and Ron O'Neal, Sheila Foster, they act in it, but Ron O'Neal directed this one. Didn't do too well. Then they gave us Return of Superfly in 1990. Also,
that's the one with Sam Jackson. I started watching that. Horrible.
Didn't do well.
Horrible.
And then we had the remake, which is worse than
oh my God,
all of them.
That movie, dude.
All of them.
It's bad.
So yeah, you know, there is only one Superfly worth watching, and this is, you know, this is the one. Yes, man.
The rest of it is definitely cash grab material, but it holds up, man. Like, it's got a special place in my heart, especially for what it represents for the era. And like I said, man, the messaging on this is different than Scarface, man. I think Scarface inspired people in some of the wrong ways. You know what I'm saying? This one, it feels a little bit different, man. It felt like it was trying to get people in some, you know, roundabout way. Even though it looked so cool to be Superfly, trying to get people to find another way. To not think this was the only way you had to go.
I also think that the reason why Scarface hit home a little more because it showed him go from the bottom to the top. Whereas in this film, we already see Priest at a certain level. We didn't see him go through what he went through to get to where he was at. The film starts with him already kind of being the man.
And we also see that the top ain't all that great.
It's not that great.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Money can't buy happiness.
Nah, man. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I really don't got much more to say about this one, man. Like it's not an overly long film too. It's not overly complicated.
91 minutes. And the thing is too, on that note, the script was only 45 pages long, though.
What?
45 pages.
You see,
and that's why there's so many scenes where
that explains those montages.
They extended the montages, the driving scenes. If there are a few scenes where you're just watching the priest just drive for 5 minutes, the run scenes are like extended very long. That's how they hit the 91-minute mark. Because other than that, if they would have followed the script, dude, the film would be 50 minutes long. It would be a TV show.
But or maybe also, I think there might have been some improvised moments too, where they just filled in some filler, some dialogue, but it's not filler. I mean, they're conversations, but maybe things that weren't fully written out, but they just like, just wing it. What would you say right here? How would you do this?
But then when you look at other films like let's say like the Mac that came out, the following year, it just there wasn't as much idle time. You know what I'm saying? They didn't spend as much time like
Mac,
riding or walking or this or that. So you can tell like that this this film, they had to do that to give it that movie length feature, but it doesn't take away from the film. As a matter of fact, what it does, and that's why this soundtrack rides the way it does, is it gives us more time to listen to that awesome ass music. You know what I mean? Like, whenever you see that lag riding and they got that Freddy's Dead instrumental.
But also, what I like about the montages in this, man, they kind of show the effects of what Priest and them are doing. Like even the scene where everybody's getting high, it's just like, well, this is what this guy is providing to his customers, And you see different scenarios. One dude's partying with his chick. Two dudes, they drinking beers and and there's one dude, his eyes get all like, I was like, I'm not sure if that was gay. That might have been some dust or something.
And that's the thing.
Wild, man.
That's the thing too, is like, in a way, like to the untrained guy, you might watch this and think they're like glorifying the life. But that's not really what's happening here. Like you said, the main goal is to get away from this, to find a better way, that this life is not really the life for nobody. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, you got to peel back some of those layers, man, to really be able to digest and acknowledge that.
And I think the layer of the corruption to reveal was interesting as well. Putting the cops in it as well, because it happens, dude. Sometimes the police are complicit in some of these big organizations, or if they're not running it, they're getting paid to turn the other eye. Man, we get these things exposed, pretty frequently out here. So. It is what it is, man. But yeah, man, this is definitely just great, man. Like it's. I wish I could, think of more to mention about it, but it does such a good job of what it is. It is what it is, man. There's no excess. It's not bloated. It's not doing this thing where it's acting like it's smarter than it really is. Yeah. It's just effective,
And I mean, talking about this film, there's no need to overcook the chili. I mean, hey, man, when it's ready, serve it.
Yeah, that's what they did with this, man.
That's what they did.
Yeah, so definitely, I guess we could wrap this up, man. Definitely check out Superfly if you haven't. And if you have, watch it again, man. Think about it. Just watch it again with a new set of eyes, man. Because like I said, I think the first time I saw this, it was a little bit later in life. Maybe on the tail end of high school when I got aware of, a lot of these films, and they were for rent, man. And I would go into the Blockbuster and stuff and look for these things like, the Mac, Black Caesar, Superfly, you know what I'm saying? These films, Foxy Brown, just to get a sense for that era and what was going on in this style of filmmaking,
But like I said, the one thing that this film does, I mean, all of those films mentioned, they all have a level of seriousness, but this one just seemed a little more realistic, a little more, you know what I'm saying? Like it felt authentic, you know what I'm saying? Not to take nothing away from any of the other films, because I love all those films actually, and anything with Pam Grier in it. You got my seat. I'm glued to the seat, dog. But this one, it carried that level of realism. You know what I'm saying? And I think that it found a way to kind of separate itself from other films that were coming out at that time while being controversial, but also, hitting very close to home in a lot of aspects, depending on the lifestyle that you lived at that time.
Yeah. I definitely see this Priest character operating in that same New York City that Shaft was existing in. Just
absolutely.
Different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what's up, folks, man. We're going to wrap this up, man. This has been another episode of Classics of Cinematics. You know what I'm saying? You can follow us at Classics of Cinematics on Instagram. You can follow me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
And this Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on Instagram at Bobby Blockbuster 118.
Yeah, that's what's up, folks, man. We out of here. Make sure you subscribe and like it and turn on your notifications. Peace.